Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video of Fox Flicks on Prague Magic. Today we're looking at him as he creates new Convergent Pokemon forms. Now if you wonder what Convergent means, it pretty much means that the two creatures took the same evolutionary path at different times. A prime example of in Pokemon is... hold on.
One of the coolest new kinds
Well, you know what? I'll let him explain it.
of Pokemon premiered in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet with what the community has dubbed Convergent Pokemon. But there were only 4 of them, so what if we made more Convergent Pokemon?
And boom, these are them. Wiglet and Wig Trio, the water convergent of Diglett, and Toad's Cool, and Toad's Cruel. The Tentacool and Tentacruel convergent forms. Grass now instead of water.
Come on. Hey everyone, Brandon here. Wiglet,
Yo.
Wugtrio, Toadstool, and Toadskruel are some of the coolest while simultaneously most hilarious additions to the Pokemon roster.
Yeah.
Many in the Fakemon community have speculated on what other Convergent Pokemon might look like. So I figured today I would throw my hat in the ring, while addressing some of the design patterns Convergent Pokemon follow that I've noticed some may have missed. The naming scheme, kinds of Pokemon chosen, and typing of these mons all have a pattern to them. And I know only 4 examples aren't a lot to go off of, but I still believe there's some commonalities between this group. At the end of the day, Fakemon is totally open in concept, and these are just my observations and opinions, so if you resonate with them, great. And if you don't agree, that's fine too. Just please be polite about it when discussing it in the comments below. But before I dive too deep into it, let's talk about today's video sponsor. If you were like me, you didn't spend...
That's what we're gonna cut, and we're back.
To it. To start, I'm going to use some examples of Convergent Pokemon I made, all to talk about the patterns I've noticed. So let's get started with Woobuzz, a Bug Electric type convergent version of Woobat that I commissioned Fakemon SR for. Of course, with Buzz being so prominently featured in its name, this little guy is based around fuzzy little bumblebees. Woobat's fuzzball nature and minimal design made an easy swap for design characteristics. Swap out the bug wings for bat wings, add a little stinger, and bada boom, Woobuzz. This mod brings up one of the patterns many have noticed. The 4 existing Convergent Pokemon's types have some sort of effectiveness against the original Pokemon they are based on. For example, the Toadstool line being grass ground cancels out the Tentacool line's water poison. I do think it can be a bit more flexible than just having the Convergent Pokemon be super effective against the original, so some of the Pokemon throughout this video are actually weak to their counterparts. It also seems that they have the same amount of types as their counterparts. So if the original was single typed, the Convergent will be too, and vice versa for dual types. Anyway, let's evolve Woobuzz into Swoobuzz. Swoobuzz is based on hornets, but more specifically the Oriental Hornet, a Vespid found all throughout the middle of the Eastern Hemisphere. It has the unique ability to absorb sunlight through this little stripe on its thorax and can generate a small amount of electric potential, hence its bug electric type.
Wait, there's an actual insect that can generate actual electricity from sunlight? Huh. Hot damn, that's cool.
Swoobuzz's thorax is more expanded like the tail of Swoobat, and is meant to reflect a bug zapper, given the Oriental Hornet's yellow electrical stripe on its thorax. Swoobuzz is literally a zappy bug that is also a bug zapper. The yellow fussiness of this line also mirrors the bug electric types found in Woobat's generation, Joltik and Galvantula.
Cute. Not cute, you add. And we're back.
The next line and yet another pattern. For this, we have Clocknia, a pure ice-type convergent Pokemon based on Cacnea, also made by Kai. To be perfectly honest here, the name for this definitely came to me before the concept, but I'm still really proud of the concept here. Clocknia is based on analog alarm clocks and ice sculptures. You can see that the little pattern that made up Cacnea's mouth has been slightly adjusted to make Clocknia's eyes look like the hands of a clock. Clocknia evolves into Clockturn, an ice...
Okay, I'll be honest, this isn't too bad. I like this icy little fella.
Psychic type based on grandfather clocks, and with its melting appearance is also based on the incredibly famous painting by Salvador Dali, The Persistence of Memory. This inspiration makes me feel like these two could definitely fit in the Paldea region. I'm especially proud of Clockturn's name. While sure it's just clock plus Cacturn, it also references the turning of the clock or turning back the clocks, as in daylight savings time or when people refer to something from a time long past. While we're on the topic of names, this brings me to another pattern with Convergent Pokemon I've noticed many not picking up on. That being how the names actually work. You'll notice that in the 4 Convergent Pokemon that exist, and the ones I've already shown off, one part of their name stays consistent throughout the line. The W between Wiglet and Wugtrio, the Toads, the Buzzes, and the Clocks all stay the same. But what I've seen many doing is switching what changes upon evolution. An example of what I've seen would be like if Clocknia evolved into Cactime or something like that. This is just one little pattern that kind of irks me each time I see it missed, because it's definitely there and consistent between the two existing Convergent lines. With that, let's move on to another Convergent line.
I guess you would actually have to focus on it a bit and think about it while you're creating it. But hey, that's the whole point of creating Fakemon. You have fun.
Time showing off both patterns I've referenced throughout the video and discussing another one that ties into the last pattern I spoke of. So next up is Nosepeck, a pure flying type based on Nosepass, who I commissioned Trevenart for. As I said before, this Convergemon is actually weak to its counterpart. I really wanted to do a Convergent Pokemon for Nosepass because it's just such a fun design, so my first thought was to turn that big old schnoz into a big old beak. The peck part of its name and its overall design is obviously based on woodpeckers, specifically—
Oh, thank you for actually bringing that up. I had no idea what the heck this thing was based on. It's like someone just took a Nosepass and painted it to look like a bird. But now I understand. It's a woodpecker. Thank you.
the Imperial Woodpecker. But it also takes from Pikipek's patterning. So you could even go as far as to say that maybe Pikipek and Nosepeck have some kind of common ancestor. Nosepeck evolves into Probopack, a flying grass type. The metallic mustache of Probopass has been replaced in favor of a nest for Probopack to help raise its eggs in. Speaking of, the little eggs/baby birds replace the mini noses. Probopass and the mini noses are meant to reference a compass rose, and Probopack sort of carries on this tradition. Being a bird that has baby birds facing different directions references weather vanes, which typically have some kind of chicken or form of bird on them. Lastly, these wood elements come together to make Probopack look like it is hiding within a tree, which birds are known to make their nests within. But also, it is a pun on the name woodpecker, being a woodpecker made of wood. So on to my final little pattern of the video before we talk about some other Convergent Pokemon, and maybe you've already noticed it. So far, I have only used Pokemon where the names share some kind of commonality, and the part they share is in the same placement of the name. While I don't think this is a hard and fast pattern as it limits what you can do, I do think there should be at least one part shared between their names, like Cottony and Whimsicott, or Swinub and Piloswine. Which kind of brings me to my previous point. You would change the cot or swine of those lines' names instead of changing halfway through, as I've seen others doing. I would like to reiterate that Fakemon is free, and this is not me telling you what to do. You can do whatever you want with your Fakemon.
Remember that you don't have to follow any kind of rules. You can just create. And I created a Fakemon that was meant to be a ghost Rubik's Cube kind of design, and yeah, that was not my best. Thinking about it now makes me want to go back and try again. Oh well.
Thought that pointing out these patterns may help someone when they're creating their own Convergent Pokemon. Anyway, that's the last of my little pattern talk, so let's move on to another fun Convergent line with Fomalos and Luralos. These two are pure bug types that are based on Fomantis and Lurantis that were also done by Trevenart. So you know how this line is kind of supposed to be the opposite of the Orchid Mantis? Rather than being a bug looking like a plant, it's a plant looking like a bug. Well, Fomalos and Luralos follow in the footsteps of that a bit. Fomantis and Lurantis are using a form of defensive camouflage, trying to look like something they're not to avoid being targeted. Which, when you think about it, doesn't really make sense because bug and grass share two weaknesses. Anyway, Fomalos and Luralos are using offensive camouflage, specifically that of mimicry. They are attempting to look like harmless little sheep Pokemon, all fluffy and cute, until they attack, revealing their true arachnoid form and demolishing their prey. This is actually the kind of behavior that Orchid Mantises exhibit, so it's kind of a call back to that, but it is also based on the phrase a wolf in sheep's clothing. But instead, Fomalos and Luralos are a wolf spider in sheep's clothing.
Am I the only one that actually really likes this? Like, I could see this being like the perfect cuddle partner.
If you couldn't tell, I'm very proud of this concept and pun. Fomalos and Luralos' name comes from the golden ram Chrysomalos, which is the sheep that the famous golden fleece is taken from. Luralos' bipedality refers to Pan, the Greek god of the wild and shepherds, who also has the horns and legs of a goat, and the fawns and satyrs, who also share those traits. The fluffiness of this line not only comes from the sheep, but also comes from the woolly aphid, which kind of gives us a cyclical inspiration thing going on here. So there's lots of Convergent bugs in this video, so how about we reverse that? Let's take Lediba and Ledian and give them the Convergent counterparts of Upsetiba and Upsetian, who I commissioned Malmistex for. They are both rock fighting type, taking the air-based Ladybug and turning it into a ground-based rock monster that just so happens to look like a bug, which leads into Upsetiba and Upsetian's design basis. They pull from the same inspiration as Lokix, being Common Rider, except these two reference some of the more modern riders who have more of a beetle motif, like Kuga or Gatak. The belt or arkle that Kuga uses—
Yeah, I'm seeing it. That's kind of, though, and obvious. I see it.
is actually initially made of stone, and the crystal or Amadam within it changes Kuga's appearance
Hold on, folks, I'll be right back. Never mind, it wasn't anything.
throughout the show, further playing into this line's rock typing. Malmus and I thought a fun way to make the design look less bug-like and reference the Arkle would be to turn Lediba and Ledian's middle set of arms into the belt that many common riders use to transform. The evolution from
Cool.
Obsidiba to Obsidian also references the many powered-up forms of the riders. I really wanted to put more of a focus on the armored aspects of the riders, as Low Kicks already handles the famous Rider Kick, and with their rock typing, defense made more sense as a focal point. Its relationship with Low Kicks would be like that of the riders who are an enemy at first, but then become good and join forces with the main rider of the season. Their name and coloration take from the very well-known igneous rock, Obsidian. Also, this totally isn't the second time I've used Lediba and Ledian to make a tokusatsu reference. Totally not because I'm a huge Toku fan. Yep, totally. And those are some of my ideas for Convergent Pokemon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.
Well, folks, that's what we're going to end today's video. I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link will be in the description, and I'll see all of you folks next time when we get a flick on. Peace out.